Hi, I'm Dave Usselton, and I've been a business value-based solution consultant in the enterprise commerce space for over 20 years, and I will be your guide as we explore 14 ways to evaluate if you are getting the most out of your Magento investment using the base out-of-the-box features. Of course, adding extensions and leveraging the broadest global partner network in the industry can also augment your capabilities. This series focuses on doing things that every Magento subscription owner can do. This is episode 1, where we will be covering how to expand your customer profiles using Magento Commerce's custom customer attributes. While you do not need to watch these videos in sequence, you may find that if you jump in somewhere in the middle, we may be relying on previous steps that may be unfamiliar to you. If so, feel free to stop and watch a previous item in the series to ensure that you fully embrace each concept. Our goal is to have each segment be approximately 10 to 15 minutes in length. While the focus of these videos is to show that Magento itself has powerful features to achieve experience-driven commerce, there is always a path to push the envelope in certain areas by adding further investment in one of the other industry-leading tools from the Adobe portfolio or from a third-party technology partner. Episode 1 is part of a grouping where we start to build the foundation for delivering experience-driven commerce using nothing more than Magento's profiling capabilities. Here we can see the rest of the videos planned for this series, and they are scheduled to be released roughly 1 week apart from mid-April through July of 2020. In the introduction video, we defined that one of the main business goals of the Luma executive team is to transition from just selling online to becoming a lifestyle brand. This first episode will help Luma start to deliver on the transformation by expanding customer profiles with additional information beyond what Magento provides as standard attributes. Expanded customer profiles will help Luma build customer audiences or segments, which is one of the pillars of customized buyer experiences. If you are using Magento open source, please note that this is a feature that is bundled as part of the Magento Commerce offering. As we can see from the statement by the Harvard Business Review, consumers embrace the concept of having experiences that are tailored to them. Consumers are willing to share more personal information if they feel it will positively impact their digital relationships. This is why customer profiling is so important when thinking of customized buyer experiences. Magento Commerce not only supports using profile information internally, it also supports exporting profile-based data to other systems such as dedicated email communications tools. Of course, you always want to stay within the guidelines for information sharing for your region and/or vertical market. While you can invest in tools and strategies for how to infer information about a user, our most powerful tool for known users is to just ask. As long as the information being asked for is not something most people would consider irrelevant, most of us are happy to provide information that we believe will help us on our quest. If you are a hotel, most people are happy to share their room preferences. If you're a food company, people are likely happy to share their dietary needs or preferences. Conversely, you can turn people off if you start asking for information irrelevant to your goods and services. So take care what you ask for. Make sure it has a relevant purpose. Magento Commerce offers 3 ways to present shoppers with the opportunity to define their preferences. Add account creation time, so the information can be gathered on first engagement. In the account management area is part of their overall profile management. Later in another episode of this series, we will show how you can use the Magento CMS system to even notify users that there might be new profile attributes where they can make choices as your strategy evolves. Lastly, hidden attributes can only be modified by sellers and are not necessarily visible to the buyer. These could be things like high level of returns, or to flag other values that we do not want the user to be able to modify or potentially even have visibility to, but we still want to leverage the values to defined experience variables. It is also useful for when data endpoints are providing the value and you wish to keep the data consistent. Here we see a list of customer custom attribute types that are supported in Magento Commerce. Some of the more interesting ones are the multi-line attribute group, which supports grouping of multiple lines of text. This is applicable for times when you want multiple lines to facilitate data transfer to other systems, but you want to have the visibility and/or requirement rules be applied to all lines in the group. File attachments and photo attributes also really expand the possibilities. Keep in mind that you can have multiples for each attribute type. Also keep in mind that you can set the rules for how and where to collect the information. If the value is shown in the storefront, and even the sorting order in the presentation layer, and again, these rules are applied per attribute. Customer attributes can also help you when using the Customer Smart Grid in the back office. The Smart Grid allows you to filter customers and save them as a stored view as well as export them. This is not building customer segments, rather just helping people tune the back office to suit their recurring activities. As part of their strategy to move to being more of a lifestyle brand, the Luma team has discussed things in depth, and they have come up with this list, which will serve as the baseline for their first generation of experience-driven commerce. These lifestyle-based customer attributes will work in harmony with the new products that they want to add to their catalog. They will also help protect the decision to invest more heavily in physical locations by including them in their digital engagement activities and marketing. The first two groups will be offered as multi-choice selections, while the last group will be implemented as explicit choices for each attribute. So let's dive into a basic Magento Commerce instance and see how we do this using out-of-the-box capabilities. So here we are inside of our Magento instance. The first thing we want to do is explore what's already been installed as part of the demonstration data for the Luma store. So we'll go to Stores, we'll go to Customer, underneath the Attribute section, and we see the available custom attributes. And at the moment, all we have are the attributes that have already been installed as system attributes, attributes that really can't be changed. And we see a couple of examples of items that we had in our list which are already in here, such as date of birth, which is probably better than age, right? Because it's something that will grow over time. So we see that's already available in the system. And if we look at our options, we can see an attribute code in case we need something that has spaces in it when we integrate with other systems. We see an input type. Is it required? We see some values. We see what the input validation rule might be, which changes per type. We see the input-output filter. We see the ability to use it as a filter option, which again, if you remember back to our smart grids, this is starting to talk about whether we allow this to be represented there or not. Is it just noise? Same thing as can we use it to build customer segments, which we'll see in a future video. We see it currently is available in the storefront. And we see because it's a system attribute that it's already defined to be available to be modified in all three areas, at account registration, in the account management area, and an admin can also make those changes. We also see available options or titling, which we may use to change the default title in what's visualized on the storefront. And if we go look at our Luma outward-facing storefront and go create an account, we'll see that yes, date of birth is already part of the registration process, and people have a beautiful date selector to go select their date of birth. This, along with first name, last name, email, password, are really the fundamentals that are needed to create an account. Creating addresses for bill to and ship to will be added to the account upon first order. So now we have some additional ones, but let's go look at another one that we saw that was already in there, gender. Now this was in there, it said it's in the system. It's not required. It also appears to not be available in our form. So if we scroll down a little, we see some different choices here, but we see it's not appearing because it says show in the storefront. So I'm going to choose yes as my change. I also have gone ahead and added some different text to the label. So now instead of just saying gender, I'm going to have the label in the storefront say, choose the gender you wish to identify with. In this case, you cannot change the values because it's a system value. If you want to add more options, instead of using the gender as an option, you could use some other attribute of your own and then add as many values as you'd like. But in this case, we just want it to show up, and we want it to show up with this different label. Now I've turned full page caching off so we can instantly see our changes as we make our modifications to our site. And now we see our new form with choose the identer with which you identify with. Great. And now we can continue to go add all the rest of the single values that we had that were going to be, as we called them, explicit. So let's go do that right now. Well, we've completed adding all of our attributes, and we can find them by easily filtering down the attributes to the non-system values. We've created our weight, our health, our picture, our conditions, and our preferred activities. And while some of them are quite simple, things like preferred activities or multiple selection options where we've decided to show them in the storefront. Again, we've given them a sort order for how they would appear in the front office, as well as created all of our labels. We've added a special text title to that label in all of our options. Should you choose to change the order of options, you easily just drag them around, and you can also select defaults. And the end result is a beautiful profile that you're able to gather more and more information about your users to help drive better customer experiences. If we go back and look, also, if you had flagged any of these attributes to be part of the smart gridding, they would now also be part of your ability to go in and decide which columns might be important for separating different customers and which items might be useful as using as filters to, again, group logical customers and help with export routines here. Also, you can go into the system and make this be part of the regular import and export activities of the system. So we could go in and import an entity type of customer main file, which will include all of those attributes that can go into the system, out of the system. You can also use the Magento API to be able to push different values in and out of the system for customer profiles. So our conclusion from this episode is that Magento Commerce offers the ability to define and evolve your customer profile information as a standard feature of the product. It is business user-friendly and has a wide set of attribute options. This enables you to create one of the key elements for moving to an experience-driven commerce business model, which has a proven impact on the top-line growth and lifetime customer value. Once you have maximized the standard features, you do have a path to more advanced features using Adobe Real-Time Profile Service. And in the next episode, we will cover how to use the expanded profile attributes to create customer audiences or segments.